Hi, and welcome back to the Mindset World podcast. I am your host, Ifisayo, dedicated to helping you achieve financial freedom by sharing with you financial knowledge, educating you on all things finance, and bringing to you amazing guests. Today, I have an amazing guest that will be sharing with you her experiences on how she was able to achieve financial freedom. She will start with teaching you how she was able to grow her portfolio to over 300,000, how she was able to get at least 6 figures in the first quarter of this year, how she was able to quit a 9 to 5, and how she was able to achieve this with the environment that she was intentional in building. And yeah, she held nothing back. She was very free to share. If you don't already know, my guest for today is XO Reni, aka Reni The Resource, aka Morenike. She goes by XO Reni or Reni The Resource most of the time. So while watching this video, feel free to leave in the comments if you're watching on YouTube any concerns or any questions or anything that comes to your mind. And if you'd like to see her in the future, feel free to leave that in the comments as well. I'd like to hear from you. And like this video, it encourages me, also tells YouTube that this video is valuable. And share this video with your family and friends, anyone that you know that will find this valuable, especially when she shares more on her investment portfolio and what has worked for her. Do not keep this knowledge to yourself. Help others as this content is also helping you. And I'll see you at the end of this podcast. Cheers. All right, Reni, thank you and welcome to the Mindset World podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well as well. Thanks for asking. So I'm just going to read a quick bio for those listening and those who don't know who you are to introduce you to my audience, and then we get straight to the question. So Reni Odetoimbo, also known as Reni The Resource, is a Canadian-Nigerian content creator, marketing consultant, and finance enthusiast based in Toronto. After purchasing her first home at the age of 23, which we're going to get into a little bit of that, she began sharing her journey on financial literacy, career development, and lifestyle to help others navigate adulthood. And then she has a podcast called Don't Go Broke Trying, offering insights into personal finance and career growth. Currently, your mission, feel free to correct me, is to empower individuals, especially women and people of color, to achieve financial independence and career success. So it's an honor to have you here. And the first time I got to know about you was when I saw your interview with, it wasn't an interview, but a picture of you with the Prime Minister of Canada. I was like, damn, who is this Nigerian doing great things? Whenever I see people doing great things, I follow their journey. I try to also get inspired and draw inspiration from them. So yeah, that's how I got to know you, and I got following you, and I got to see that you were doing other things, and then you started sharing content on how much you made per month. I'm like, this is someone that is not gatekeeping. Who is this? Like, it was so intriguing. So yeah, welcome. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome. I'm good. I feel like that picture with Trudeau made a lot of people get to know about me. So it was pretty good.
So it's an honor to have someone that knows Trudeau on my podcast. Definitely.
I don't know that man.
But honestly, I am honored. Now, I want to believe a lot of people got introduced to you prior to that in regards to you buying a house at the age of 23. When I look at your journey, I've watched your videos as well. I am just thinking, or what comes to my mind is the fact that you did have a good background from your parents. I've seen that you went to Nigeria last year, took your parents along, basically showing people what has helped you, right? For those who did not attend and who did not know your full journey in regards to your background on financial literacy and perhaps how your daddy was there for you, mom was there for you, what was it like navigating buying a house at age 23? What was the knowledge you got? Because I came into Canada 4 years ago. Myself and my husband, of course, were looking to buy a house in the near future. But we know that the intricacies to buying a house in Canada is totally different from Nigeria. Nigeria is cash. And my parents did real estate or do real estate in Nigeria. So it's quite easy. It's easy to navigate, essentially. This is a totally different terrain. You have to understand mortgage. You have to understand credit. You have to understand the market, when it's down, when it's low, all of that. How did you grasp the information, and what would you say contributed to your journey till the point at age 23 when you got your first home?
Yeah, so my parents were very instrumental in my journey. My parents started teaching me about financial literacy actually when I was only 4 years old, which I think is very unique, not just, especially in the Black community, but for anyone. I think it's very unique to have parents who teach you about financial literacy when you're that young. So I moved to Canada when I was just 4 years old, and we moved from England. My parents had moved from Nigeria to England, England to
Mm,
Canada,
mm,
and then they finally settled. And my dad always said, he doesn't want his kids to have to learn about new financial systems just like he did by
yeah,
himself, right?
yeah.
So he wanted to teach us from a very early age. So they did little things, for example, get anytime an aunt or uncle would come to the house and give us money, instead of them keeping it for themselves, they would make sure that we kept it. And then we also
Wow.
could put it in either our
That's
bank
great.
accounts, or we could put it in our piggy bank that we had as well. So little things like that shaped me from a very early age. And then when I would turn 18, my parents started teaching me about credit cards as well, which was really good. So I learned about credit cards. So by the time I went to university and got a credit card, I knew how to use it. I didn't get into a lot of debts because I knew how to use it already. And then and at 18 as well, my dad sat me down and said, "You are going to start to invest in the stock market." And I was like, okay. So he taught me about investing in the stock market. I purchased some mostly bank stocks at that time. So I purchased bank stocks, and then I also purchased a company called Shopify. And Shopify at the time was, a baby company. That was in 2014 or 2015. And by the time it was 2020, Shopify had 5x in value. So I was working a minimum wage job, but I still put like a few $100s a month into the stock market, and it grew significantly. So by the time I was 22, actually, I had around like $50 or $60,000 at that time. And my dad one day asked me like, "Oh, you have a lot of," he asked me, "How's Shopify doing, or how are your stocks doing?" So I looked and I was like, "Oh, it's doing really well. I have like 50K." And he was like, "Good. Now you should buy a house." And I was like, no, I don't want to buy a house. Because I just, I like to see I love seeing that. Oh my gosh, I have $60,000 in my
Yeah,
account. So
exactly. So where you put it is like, where's the money? I get that.
I was like, I don't want to buy anything. Like, I just want to leave it here. But he encouraged me, and my mom encouraged me. So I bought my first house. After that, I bought a pre-construction property in London, Ontario, and I put money down. And then the next year, 2020, the property was finished. And that is when everyone discovered me, when I created my first video about how I bought my first house. So yeah.
Well, that's an incredible journey. There's so much you unpack there. I'm going to, of course, ask a few more questions to dive deeper. So I'm just writing down some of the things you're saying as well so that you can keep up. Your first bank was before you were 18. Your daddy encouraged you to, save. That's way different from what I experienced anyways. I mean, we did experience, okay, Fisayo and my brothers, we were encouraged to always save. There's the saving culture. But
Yeah.
when we are being told to save, but it wasn't practicalized the way your daddy would intentionally say, "Oh yeah, now go to the bank, now put this in the bank,"
Yeah.
which is good. The way we saw it was, mommy will hold the money for you until when you need it, which we never really got back from mommy or dad. And then
Never ever. She paid for your stuff with the money, right?
what do you
She's
say?
providing for you.
Exactly.
She's
The
providing
house,
for you.
yes. Exactly.
Exactly.
So, and then you turned 18, there was the credits, there was a discussion you had with your daddy on credits and on investment. Now you then invested in Shopify. Was it informed by your dad, or you did your research? If you did your research yourself, how did you discover Shopify is the best investment to go buy?
So it's actually from the Motley Fool, which is one of the newsletters that a lot of people read about personal finance and investing. So my dad researched it, or he's discovered it through there, and then he told me about it. Did I do much research? Honestly, no. My dad was bought in, and I was like, okay, it sounds good. So let's buy into it as well.
What did you call it?
Pardon?
What did you call the newsletter? Did you say
The Motley Fool. So MOTLEYFOOL. And if you just go on fool.com, then you can find it as well. And they have a free version and a paid version. I just use the free version, but my dad pays for the actual full newsletter, and it will give you an analysis on a bunch of different stocks and what they think is the next big stock and things like that. So I like to rely on analyst picks. Analysts highlight some companies, and then you do your additional research on them from that newsletter.
All right, thank you. Now, while you were speaking on stock, I was saying, okay, it looks like she started off with stock. Now ETF is very popular, right? Now that you're an
Mhm.
established investor, you mentioned that your portfolio is about 200,000, if I'm correct. Um,
300 now.
okay, now, oh wow, girl, well done. I know I don't know your projection, but I know you said you're about to get into 1 million in some years' time. I've forgotten the projection I saw online. Now you are clearly working with a strategy that works. And again, it's inspiring to see because when you share that, it makes it seem like it's possible. Your parents were immigrants, they came in, they paved the way, they gave you the knowledge. It makes it easier for someone like me as an immigrant. Of course, when we give birth to children, they're not going to be immigrants, they're going to be citizens, unlike myself. It makes it gives a good template for us to learn from. Now, what would you say are your favorites in terms of ETFs versus stocks? Would you still want to do more stocks? Are you heavy on stock? Or now for someone like me, I'm a moderate risk taker. I do not do high risk. I heard you. I watched one of videos where you want to do high risk, you don't mind and all of that. I do watch your videos a lot. So for that purpose, I would lean towards ETFs and dividend paying ETFs and a few growth ETFs as well. For you, being that you are now practicing it without your daddy's help, too much of it, what would you say works for you and why?
I would say both work, but the one that I currently prefer is ETF investing. And the reason I like ETF investing is because, as you said, you're very diversified, so you're taking less risk than investing in an individual company. And also, I'm in my lazy girl era where I am focusing on really building my business. So I don't want to be dedicating time to finding stocks, researching stocks, making sure that the stock, it's one thing to research a stock once, but you also have to see, okay, next month, is this stock still performing the way that I initially, based on the criteria that I initially decided to invest in it. And personally, I have no desire to do all of that research anymore. So that's why I primarily invest in ETFs. And as you said, I have growth ETFs, I have dividend paying ETFs. And my goal is to get, I have the primary ETF that I hold is VFV, which is the S&P 500 ETF. And I think I'm almost at, I'm trying to get 500 units of it right now. I think I have through 400 or 300 something right now. So I'm getting there. I want it to be the strong base for my portfolio. And then, we can sprinkle in some individual stocks, some other higher risk things. But right now, that's really my main focus. So it's automated.
VMV or VYM?
VFV, V Frank, Violent, Frank, Violent.
Yes.
So it's the same as VOO, but it's just held in Canadian dollars.
Talking of which, I invest in VOO, and from what you just mentioned now, you said it's different because it's in Canadian markets. What makes it different? What is wrong with investing in VOO if you're in Canada compared to
VFV?
Yeah.
So there's no difference. The only difference is that one is in Canadian dollars and one is in US dollars. There's no real difference. The main reason I use VFV over VOO is that with Wealthsimple, when you trade Canadian ETFs, there are no fees attached with it. So for most platforms, there's a commission fee every time you purchase stocks. For Wealthsimple, it's $0. There's no commission fee. So that's why I do that, because every 2 weeks I'm buying more. So that would be a lot of money that I would be paying in commission fee, or even the currency exchange fee. So that's why. But I also have a TD direct investing account, and there I have VOO because there's no real they charge you the same fee regardless of if it's Canadian or US. Yeah.
But that's worth noting. Thank you for that. I just learned something new. So thank you. I know one of my friends have mentioned that before to me, but I didn't really do much research into it. So thank you for sharing. I'm guessing from what you've said, other ETFs also have Canadian equivalents. Just like the
so for example, QQQ is the NASDAQ 100, and that's another one I invest in. The Canadian equivalent would be QQC. So that's another one that is very popular. What else do we have? Those are the main two ETFs that I invest in. And then I have some international ETFs as well. I also invest in the Canadian stock market, which would be QCN. So the Toronto Stock Exchange, all the companies there. And then I have some US dividend focused ETF like SCHD, and what's the other one? VDY, which is the Canadian
Yeah, I
each
know the
dividend paying. Yeah.
For those who are listening and confused on all this, people to go down, pause, rewind, and go on Google or even ChatGPT is your friend as well, will help you with most of the research. And yeah. Yes, I know you listened to us speaking on a couple of ETFs to buy, the ones she's investing in. If you're confused on what all these are, as I mentioned, you can go online, Google it, or go on ChatGPT. But if you want a personal touch, feel free to book a one-on-one session with me by scanning the barcode right now. And I'll be very much happy to be of help to help you map your way to financial freedom. Currently, I'm on a goal to help middle-class people achieve their first $1 million net worth. And that is going to be different from everyone, depending on what your financial goal is, depending on what your assets are, and depending on what you currently have in terms of debts. Everyone's goal is different. Everyone's financial life is different. And I'm here to help you navigate that path. My goal is just to help you plan towards it and keep you accountable on what you want to achieve. Again, scan the barcode if you like to book a one-on-one session with me. Let's get back into the podcast episode. Going back to buying your house, what was the process in regards to now you're putting down a down payment of XYZ amount? At this point, you're a citizen, so you don't have the caveat of doing 20%. Perhaps all you need is 5%. In this case, 50,000, 60,000 is way more than the 5%, depending on the value of the home. What were your thought process in regards to financial planning towards buying the house? Do I use all of my portfolio to buy this house, or do I use 10% because all I require for down payment is just 5%? I just want you to walk us through that.
So for me, I was purchasing a rental property. So I wasn't planning on living in that house because it's a bit far from the area that I personally would want to live in, but it was what was affordable and within my budget at the time. So the house was around $345,000. And if you know the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, that's not really you can't find that price in the GTA. So I had to go outside the GTA to find that home. And so because it's a rental property, I actually had to put down the full 20%. You don't have the option to put down less than 20% if it's a rental property. If I was deciding to live there, yes, I could put 5%, but I think I still would have put more than 5% because of course my mortgage would be huge if I only put down 5%, which is why, I probably would have put 15 to 20% so that I can lower the mortgage payment. So it's easier to manage on a monthly basis.
Mm-hmm. So was it easy getting the mortgage, or was it easy getting an agent for yourself as a first home buyer, or your parents also helped you with the process as well?
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, I was not excited to buy a house or anything like that. It was more so my parents pushing me towards it. So my dad he had brought the idea forward, and then he connected me with his realtor. His realtor started sending me listings, and honestly, I was ignoring them for a while because I wasn't really that excited about the process of buying a home. But eventually my dad was like, "You're wasting his time, stop wasting my realtor's time." So then I spoke to the realtor and we decided to go on some showings. So I went on some showings with him and then I found a house. But before that, I actually went and got my pre-approval and I went to the bank basically. But the great thing was I was working at the bank at that time. So I went to the Bank of Montreal and they gave me a pre-approval letter saying basically they will give me X hundred of thousands of dollars based on my current credit score, the salary, and also based on my down payment that I had saved so far. So that was what I did first. And then I think getting the mortgage was a very simple, easy thing to do. The stress test I think they're harder now. The stress test is harder, but at the time it was easier. This was in 2019 or 2020 that I was actually getting the mortgage, 2020. So yeah, it was very simple. I just sent over all my documents. I got approved very quickly. I didn't look at any other lenders because I did work at the bank at the time and they gave me a bank employee mortgage rate. So I just went with that. Yeah.
I guess from your story, what one would need is a good mentor. You have a good mentor in your father, and he really he gave you speed. So God bless you, Dad. I hope you thank him every day for the journey that he has helped you overcome in regards to some of the hurdles most people will have to overcome on their own. Mm-hmm. So I was curious, why did your daddy think it was the right time for you to buy a house because you have this amount of money? Why did he think that this amount of money is now sufficient for you? Why did he think that was the next best step? Is it because that is what he knows, or the book? I know you guys mentioned a book, Millionaire Next Door. Is it like based on the book you've read, or what? Why did you think it was the next best thing for you to do?
I think he thought it was the next best thing to do just because he loves real estate, and he thinks that the stock market is great, but it's good to also diversify your portfolio and not have all your money in the stock market. So I think he believes in like the growth potential of the stock market. Of the real estate market. We have been here since 2000, right? So they have seen how the stock market they have seen how the real estate market has skyrocketed over the past 20 years, 25 years. So I think that is why he just encouraged me to take my cash right now that is it's cash, but it's fluctuating at this time, and put it into something that's more stable, which he deemed as real estate. So that's why he suggested it to me.
Okay. Now, what advice would you give your younger self? You were age 23 when you got your first home. You now understand what ownership feels like. Now you have more responsibilities. You can still go back to ask that for advice, but you also now offer advice to people as a financial. Or would you say financial advisor or financial, because I know as a financial advisor, you need to have the certificate and all of that. So as someone that is financially, sorry?
No, as you said, I don't have the certificate. I would say I call myself a financial educator, financial literacy educator.
Yeah. As a financial educator, you now know more, you've honed your skills, you've had the experiences. What advice would you give your younger self?
I would tell my younger self a lot of things. First would probably be start budgeting from the second you start making money. Thankfully, I had the habit of always putting something aside for saving, so that wasn't the issue. But it was the rest of the money. What are you doing with it? And a lot of times I was doing nonsense with that money. I was eating out a lot when there was rice at home. And not that I regret eating out, because that's something that I love and I value, but I just think my money probably could have been better spent elsewhere. But it was really when I was about to buy the house that I started truly budgeting, and I was like, Reni, why are you spending this much money on food every month? Yes, every day I would buy lunch at work, and lunch at work is, let's say it's like $12, $13. It doesn't seem that much, but 13 times 5 times 4 times 4 weeks is a lot of money, actually. And that doesn't include going out afterwards if I go out. So I was spending a lot of money on food, transportation, all these different things. So I would say the first thing I'll tell her would be just start budgeting, start tracking how much is coming into your account and how much is going out of your account. And I would also tell her, when it comes to the house, I would tell myself that I should just understand all the costs that go into home ownership. I think when I went into it, I naively thought like, oh, it's just the mortgage payment. It's easy. It's something that my tenants rent will cover. So whatever, it's no big deal. But it's not. It's more than that. There's the property taxes, there are the maintenance fees, there are the condo fees. And if you're charging your rent based on the mortgage alone, you will be at a loss every single month. So I now have, of course, increased my rent, but I didn't really realize that. Yeah.
So you got into home ownership because of your dad's advice. Now that you're in it, would you say you enjoy it?
I would say that thankfully I have great tenants that are very. I decided to rent to a family. So I rented to a family where the dad takes care of the house like it's his baby. He's a handyman as well, so he knows how to take care of it. So I'm just grateful for that, right?
Yeah.
I think I have a great situation. I think just my personality-wise, being a landlord is something that, I don't like having to increase somebody's rent, for example. That's not something. Yeah. So I don't know if I will start buying a bunch of properties and become a real estate mogul or anything, but I'm not upset that I decided to buy the house. I think it was a good decision overall.
Why not buying a house for you to live first and maybe rent out a suite? Why just a standalone property? And do you plan to buy other properties? Maybe not necessarily for rental, but just for yourself.
Why didn't I? I don't know. I was just comfortable living at home at the time. So I was like, there's no need for me to move out right now. And also in Nigerian culture, I feel like there's no shame around living at home. Like maybe for my other friends who are, Caucasian, there's some shame, like, oh, you're 27, you're living at home, whatever. But for us, I don't think there's any shame with living at home until you're married. So I personally, at 23, did not think of moving out. It wasn't part of my plans. And I also think that I want to save a bit more money so I could buy the house that I truly
That
want
part,
as well.
yes.
Yeah, because I didn't want to have to move 2 hours outside the city just to buy a house that I live in. I would instead love to save up enough to buy a house in the area that I want to live in. And whether that means maybe I have to have dual income where it's my partner who's joining me with that, maybe that would be something. But I don't know. Right now, I haven't even thought of buying a second house yet, but I do have my FHSA that I'm contributing to every single month. So when the time comes, the money will be there and we will buy in the area that we actually want to live in, not just for the sake of buying a house. Because I would rather rent in a city I like than own in a city that I do not like.
One thing that you said that stood out to me is the fact that you staying in your parents' house saves you money. Because the amount of money you spend in this household, the rent takes the biggest chunk of it. If, I came into Canada as a student initially, if I came in and my family was here, I wouldn't have to spend that much money on rent. I would have divided into savings towards the future for whatever future, savings goal I had. So it's good that you had that understanding. We have different people with different backgrounds and different cultures. I say, I want to live alone. I want to, live that life. But you have a different mindset, which has been working for you. And, also what you're also teaching to other people. Now, apart from real estate, apart from investing, you also run a business. Your business is sustaining you as well. What are the things that has contributed to your growth? And what are the challenges you faced that you can share with others that would also help them grow?
So things that haven't contributed to my growth, I think, is being willing to try different things with my business. So for those that don't know, my business is Reni The Resource is what it's called. And it is basically my financial literacy education business where I do content and I teach people about financial literacy in different ways. So that I feel like I've been willing to try a lot of different things in order to grow my business. And I'm not scared to try something and it fails. Like I've tried to sell digital products, didn't really push it much. It didn't work. I wasn't very successful. So I stopped it and I didn't feel bad about it. It was just like, well, I tried it. It didn't work. Let's move on to the next thing. So that has really helped. I also think diversifying my different streams of income within the business has helped a lot. So right now, I think I probably have like 6 or 7 different streams of income that come to me through this business. I have my brand deals. I have affiliate income. I have a community with 170 people in it. I have my speaking engagements. I have coaching that I do. So there's so many ways that money is coming in where I never really have all my eggs in one basket and rely on that one stream of income. So I think those are what has really contributed to my growth. And obviously the time that I got into the market was very helpful. I started creating content in 2020 when obviously the world was shut down. Everybody was at home. So I had a lot of time to dedicate to building my content and starting content. And the audience was really invested in financial literacy education at the time. People really just wanted to learn about finance during the pandemic, right? And again, everyone was home, so they had the attention span to watch a 10-minute video about finance. Now, I don't know if they do. Maybe they want to watch a 2-minute video about financial literacy. But I think I got in at the perfect time as well. And I also think it helps that I am a young Black woman in this space. A lot of times we don't see any young Black women who talk about financial literacy at all. So I think that helps to differentiate myself in this space as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And what were the challenges you faced that others can learn from?
That challenges I faced that
in business that others can learn from?
Some challenges that I faced. Funny enough, I don't see anything as a challenge. I just see it as like, I have to. it's something. It was just a learning opportunity. Maybe hiring people too early. Or hiring people for tasks that you have not yet done, I think is a bad thing to do in your business. For example, if you have a task that you want to outsource, like your podcast editing or video editing, I feel like everybody should try to first do the editing themselves, so you can know how to outsource, right?
Okay.
And also so that you're not reliant on that person for everything. Like for me, I started my podcast with a professional videographer and a professional and a sound mixer and whatever. But then when I wanted to just do a solo episode or something, I could not do it because I just didn't know how to work all this equipment that I have purchased, and so I feel like I always suggest that people, now I know how to edit my podcast, but I suggest that everybody first tries the task themselves, and it will also help you to outsource better and know who the right fit is for that task specifically. So that's one challenge that I had, I guess, but I've overcome it and now I know how to edit my podcast. And also, what other challenges? I don't know. I think that's probably the main challenge that I faced in my business. It's been a pretty good ride, thank God.
Thank God for that. That's amazing, and it's a lot to learn from you. I was thinking to myself while you were speaking, do you have a business background? Did you watch your parents do business? Is that what inspired you? What is your business journey? Because you started and you grew it. So
yeah,
what to that? What knowledge do you have?
Yeah, so I went to business school. I went to the Shield School of Business here in Toronto, and I did my bachelor's of business administration, but that's all the business experience I had. But I would say I've been a natural entrepreneur from a very young age. Like I was the kid on the playground selling bracelets or selling stuff to other kids. And my parents really encouraged it, especially my dad. He's also a natural entrepreneur. So I feel like he just encouraged it. Well, I remember when I was selling those bracelets, I actually got in trouble because one of the teachers was like, "You're not allowed to sell things to other kids on the playground." And they kind of told my parents, and my dad was like, "Why? Why shouldn't you be able to sell things on the playground?" So I've always been encouraged to try things, and if it fails, it fails. If it doesn't, whatever, you just try. Just try. And my parents are also entrepreneurs. They own their own, so they're lawyers, but they own their own law firm. So they have to do both of the business side and the law side. So probably seeing them and also seeing the flexibility that I have in their schedule really inspired me. They do work a lot, don't get me wrong, but they can take a 3-week vacation if they want to because they control their schedule. So that was really appealing to me because I started working in corporate Canada and I was like, I only have 3 weeks for the entire year to go on vacation.
Yeah.
And I have to ask before I go on vacation. Yeah, I didn't like that part. So I think I learned a lot from just observing my parents as well.
There's so much you said that I want to follow up on, but just follow up on the last statements you just mentioned. When I look at you, I literally look at financial freedom. Financial freedom in that you just mentioned flexibility. Financial freedom brings flexibility. You can determine your schedule, be where you want to be at the time you want to be there. And also you're not strained financially while doing that. And again, just listening to you, it goes back to your journey with your parents. Apart from that, is there anything else you would say that's contributed to that?
Contributed to my success as an entrepreneur?
To your success as an entrepreneur and being able to achieve that balance. So I've listened to a particular episode where you mentioned you did work at a particular bank and you decided you're going to leave at a particular time. And you plan your way towards it. Maybe you can shed more light on how you're able to plan your way towards that and how you're able to achieve that and grow your business to a situation whereby you don't have to, that can replace whatever income you had and even surpass the income you were earning as well.
Okay, so the journey of quitting my job was that I was working at the Bank of Montreal. I was working there since 2016, but full-time since 2018. And full-time, I was working in wealth management basically at the bank. And then I got a promotion to a new job. And this is when everything started to go downhill because I was trying to balance my YouTube channel that I launched in 2020 and also this new job. And then my coworkers, 2 of them went on leave and it was just me and my manager doing the work for people, right?
Yeah.
And obviously I wasn't getting paid the salary of multiple people.
Yeah.
So I just was struggling to balance the 2 of them. And that's when I really was like, I think I need to quit. But I'm not the type to quit my job when, without a plan. I like to take risks, but I like to take calculated risks. So the way that I was able to do it was prepare financially to take that leap of faith. So what I had been investing in my employer's share ownership plan since I started at the company, and at that time it had reached about $30,000 that was in that plan. So I decided, okay, this is going to be my Bex money, or like, the money that I use to leave this company. And if I don't get another job immediately, or if my business doesn't work, well, then I can just rely on this money for some time until I need to then get a new job. So that was my first backup plan. And then obviously I was doing YouTube and I was making money from YouTube as well. I'm not the type to just leave without a plan. So I started my channel in 2020. By September 2020, I made my first $100 on YouTube, and I was super excited about that. It was the best $100 I made. And then by June 2021, I made $3,000 that month on YouTube from my YouTube channel, but also a brand deal and affiliate income. And I was like, oh, this is good. I'm making money. And of course, that's $3,000 before taxes. So I probably made $2,200 or something, a lot less than that. But it just was a signal. And I had been tracking my growth month over month. It was a signal that if I had the time and effort to dedicate to this, then I could make more money than I could in my full-time job at the time. So in October of 2021, I decided to quit my job and take a leap of faith. And again, I didn't do it without a backup plan. I was like, I can always get another job, first of all. And second of all, I still live at home with my parents. My mortgage is paid. I have this $30,000. There are lots of privileges that I had that allowed me to take that leap of faith. So, yeah.
Yeah. Now, going back to the real estate question, when deciding, for someone that currently has a rental property, when deciding your rent, I'm sure you look at the market value, but you also look at your investment, correct? Now, your investment, earlier you mentioned, of course, the mortgage cost monthly, the strata cost, the condo cost, the maintenance cost. How do you choose your fine balance so that you are still competitive with the market rate?
I think it's important to consult the expert. So you can reach out to a realtor who knows the area, right? And ask them, what are the market rates what is the market rate currently in this area for a property like this? And they will give you kind of like a benchmark of, I would say that's the minimum you should probably be charging. But then it's also important to just run your numbers. I can't emphasize enough how you need to take a spreadsheet and write down, okay, this is my mortgage, this is my condo fee, this is my maintenance cost, and then see if I charge this rent throughout the entire year, what is my profit going to be? And usually it may not be enough. So that's how I figured it out. I just put pen to paper and write it down and see how much I am going to be owing or making, or not owing, but losing or making by year end. And it does help. So I highly encourage everybody to do that before you even list your property, to just figure out how much you should be charging. Yeah. But the real estate agent,
go ahead, sorry.
I was saying, but the real estate agent is really helpful to give you a guide so that you can still be competitive enough in the market and you're not overcharging for that place. And another thing is that, that's what I was going to say. So.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Now, I was going to say that, would you say all this contributes to you being able to be motivated to bring out your best every day? Again, because the cost of living or the cost of maintaining a house is high, getting higher every day. You also have a big goal in front of you. You mentioned growing your portfolio to an X amount of money. What would you say pushes you? Now, for me, I grew up in a household where I did see my parents in business. I also went for a lot of conferences, leadership conferences. Those conferences shaped my mind, shaped my thinking. I would hear things like, if you see a problem, you can be the solution to the problem. And that, instead of me being in an environment where everyone is complaining, I try to look for the solution because of the environment that I was in and the conferences I have been exposed to. Now, coming to Canada, I've not really gone for enough conferences because I don't know the terrain that much, and that's why I try to network with people to also seek for advice. Where do you think I should go to? Most of the conferences I look for are in the US, so I'm trying to navigate my way for some of these conferences. So for you, what would you say pushes you? Is it again, going back to your parents, your future goal? Would it also be like, again, if you had conferences you attended, what is it that pushes you?
Okay, before I answer, I was going to say you should come to FinCon this year. Okay, so it's in Seattle, so it's close to you. If you have your US visa, it's close to you. So I would recommend coming there. I'll be there, and my dad will be there as well. So you should come. It's in September. I went last year, and I would say it literally changed my life going there because I was around people who I'm not. So basically, we had a mastermind group that I was a part of, and it was only for women. And in my group, there were 6 women. I was the smallest creator in the group. And these women are all, so we each got to sit down for 1 hour and just tell them your problem. And they will give you, everyone in the room gives you a solution for the problem that you're currently facing. And these women, they ripped apart my whole business, basically, and told me, Reni, you can't do one-on-ones. It's not scalable. Reni, you're charging too little for this. Reni, this, whatever it was, okay? And I took what they, instead of being like hurts, like, oh my God, whatever, I took what they taught me and I applied it. And at this point, I made 6 figures in Q1 already because of the learnings that I got. So that $500 conference, it's more expensive. It's cheaper than that this year, but it was $500, and it was a game changer, the best $500 that I've spent. So that's what that's one of the experiences I had that really has shaped my mindset. And I think that just being around women and other people who are just doing better than you or just know more than you in a certain area is very helpful to help expand your mind. And I also think one of my major motivations for just making money, doing well, is a lifestyle that I want to have, right? So I want to be able to travel the world. I have a goal to go to every country. Right now I've been to 43 countries, and I want to go to every single country in the world. So if I want to do that, I need money in order to do that. So that's one of my main motivators, and just wanting to live a comfortable life where I'm not struggling for anything. I'm able to provide for my needs and my family's needs. So that's another motivator for me. But I see these things because of the people that I'm around, the people that people who mentor me, even though they don't mentor me, but I see them online, so they're technically like mentoring me indirectly. So I think it's all about your circle, who you interact with, what content are you consuming. I'm not watching any blog pages or anything like that. I'm consuming content that is inspirational, aspirational. Yeah. So.
Thank you. You already touched on my next question. For those who are looking to grow generational wealth, what habits would you say they should develop? Which you mentioned one now is consuming the right content. Is there any other thing you want to add to that?
I think paying yourself first is one that a habit that I encourage everyone to get into. What that means is that, let's say you get paid $2,000 from your paycheck. Instead of, focusing on, okay, I need to pay these 10 bills and send money to this family member and do this and do that. Instead, you're going to say, $200 of this is going towards my investment account. And then you put the money there, right? And then from the rest, then you can do whatever you want, but you're always focusing on your future self and paying your future self before you do any of this. So that's one thing that I would suggest. I think it's the thing that has single-handedly helped me achieve most of my financial goals, and I can have a 300K portfolio because every time I get paid, the money goes automatically. I've automated everything, where with Wealth Simple, it automatically goes from a checking account to my investing account, and then it automatically invests for me as well. So I don't have to do anything. I've told it what investments I want to buy, and it purchases them automatically. So that would be one habit. And also, I like to tell people that you should be optimizing for the money from a very young age. I think a lot of times people try to pick careers that are, or they study degrees that maybe will not have great money in the long term, right? Yeah. I think that the easiest way to achieve financial freedom is when you're in a high-paying career. Right? Because it's easier, obviously, if you can save $500 a month, you can get to your goals quicker than if you can only save $50 a month. So I always encourage people to optimize for the money. Yeah. Now,
when you just mentioned saving regularly or putting money into your investments, it took me back to what I was thinking earlier in regards to how you were able to get your $50,000 investment before you now use it to buy your house. Was it $100 or $200 being saved weekly, or it was once a month, or I don't know? Some people get paid bi-weekly. So was your structure more bi-weekly, or anytime any extra money gets into your hand, you're putting it into your investment account at that time and now?
So it was both. It was bi-weekly first. So I was working at a shoe store at the time, and every time that I got paid there, which was bi-weekly, I would put a percentage into the stock market. So that was automatic. And then also, my parents also taught me that anytime there's extra income that comes in, it's not just for you to do whatever you want with it, it's to put towards your goals as well. Just think of it as extra money that you can put towards all your goals. So that's what I did. And I put in, like, let's say someone gives me like $200, $100 of it will go to the stock market, and then the rest I'll do whatever I want with it. So that's the habit I've gotten into. And I think everybody should get into that habit if you can.
Yeah,
Same
sure.
thing, people tithe every single time they get money. Same thing. Tithe to yourself as well.
Do you know? Do you know? Because again, thank God for your parents. For me, I had to learn from reading books, and I also thank God for my parents because they encourage us reading books as well. And one book like I will attribute my financial literacy knowledge to is Richest Man in Babylon. And in that,
I love it.
always, yeah, it would always speak on, paying yourself first as well, savings and investments. And it's life changing when you practice it. It's not just reading it. It's life changing when you practice it and you see the difference in your investment growing. You were struggling to save every month or invest every month, but now you're intentional and doing it like, wow, I can actually do it. Do you understand? Yeah, I do understand what you're saying. Now, we're going to be rounding up soon. We have about 15 minutes left. Before we get into the last question, for you, you have been a product of your environment, you've been a product of intentional actions. What mindset would you say is what also drives you? What was your mindset like? What would you say people should also learn to build on to help them have financial stability in the future, mindset wise?
I think I would say that I have an abundance mindset where I always believe things are possible for me. So like yesterday, I actually got an anonymous message because I do Ask Me Anything every Thursday, and I got an anonymous message from someone that said, "Oh, these people who say that they have $30,000, they're lying about it." And I was like, what? Like, lots of people have $30,000, and if you believe that you could have $30,000, then maybe one day you could get there as well. And obviously, I'm not discounting the systemic barriers or anything that are present, but I truly believe that your mindset can help you to achieve the goals that you want to achieve in the long run. So I believe that the abundance mindset that I have is, I can achieve anything that I set my mind to. Everything that is out there is accessible to me, whether it's accessible or maybe in a year or two it's accessible, but one day I will be able to get it. And I think that really helps me with financial freedom. And I also have the mindset of I don't envy anybody, I just learn from them, and I use it as motivation. So I told a story one day about I went to Dubai with my dad, and I met this girl. So one of my friends introduced me to this girl, and the girl said, we were just talking about what she does, because I was doing interviews with different people about what they do in Dubai. And she told me that she makes $10,000 a month living in Dubai, and she works from her laptop. She doesn't go into the office. She just, she's chilling. And I was like, what? Like, people are making $10,000 a month. And at the time, I believe I was probably making like $3,000 or so dollars. So this seemed unreal to me. But instead of being jealous or hating or anything like that, I was like, wow, that is so amazing. And that's going to be me next. And now it is. Like, that's my reality at this point. So I truly believe that having a mindset that everything is in your it's here for you. You just have to reach out and get it, and put in hard work, obviously, to get it. And yeah, I think that mindset will help a lot of people and help them achieve their goals.
I love it. Thanks for sharing. I watched that video where you mentioned it I believe it was on Instagram. I saw it, and I told one of my friends, like, "Yo, I just watched it on your Reni's page. I need to watch this said." Like, you see, you got inspired, and you inspired me, and we inspired others. Like the roller coaster. Like, continue doing what you're doing. It's great. It also expands my mind and the minds of others also listening to you and watching you. For those who are new to Canada or still struggling to navigate the space here and also have big dreams, because one thing I've realized with most immigrants that come here, they have big dreams, but they come in here and they get into a rabbit race. And I mentioned this in my previous podcast episode, my previous guest. And some people get into jobs that they normally wouldn't do if they were in Nigeria or whatever country they're coming in from. And they begin to lose their identity, begin to lose their drive, begin to lose their passion, and become a shadow of themselves. You don't seem to have that mindset, which is good, and it's because God wants to use you for others as well. Now, what's your advice to them? That also, because first of all, one thing you should recognize that they've forgotten who they are. They don't strive for much anymore. They just continue. Okay, let me pay bills. Let me pay bills. They later become a shadow of themselves. What advice would you say for them so that they can come out of whatever situation they're currently in, and to help them also dream big and achieve more?
I think the first thing I would say to those people is that I understand why you would take a job that you normally would not necessarily take, because you need to survive, especially if you just moved to this country. I understand that it's rough. The bills do not stop here. So I understand and I acknowledge why you would accept a job that you typically wouldn't take. But I encourage you to think of the future life that you would want for yourself and think, will this job allow me to get to that place? If it won't, then we need to take the small steps, or maybe big steps sometimes, that we'll take to get out of this, because it's really easy to stay in a job for the rest of your life because it's quote unquote comfortable. Yeah. So I always tell people that their beauty or growth happens on the outside of your comfort zone. Inside your comfort zone, no growth happens there. But once you step out, a lot of growth can happen. And trust me, I know it'll be uncomfortable. I know it'll be hard, especially if you have to go maybe back to school while you're doing this job and retrain. But the reality is, remember, I heard this quote once that just do it, because if it takes 2 years, the 2 years are going to pass regardless. So you might as well make the best of those 2 years, right? So if you have to go back, go to school, take a boot camp course that is going to be hard for the next 2 years, I get it. It's hard. But remember, those 2 years are going to pass. And at the end of those 2 years, now you can say that, okay, I can leave this job and get a great job that is aligned with what I actually want to do and that pays me what I am worth. So I know it's hard. Again, I just want to acknowledge that I understand that it's hard, but you are capable. You can do it. You can move to you can move into something that is truly worth your time and your energy, and that won't drain you, so that you can live the life that you want to live.
Thank you, Coach Reni. So the final question is, if you had $1,000 to your name now with all that you know, what would you invest in?
I think I would invest in either VFV or Palantir. That's what I would invest in. Palantir. Pardon?
All the $1,000 goes in there. Like nothing else. Okay.
No, nothing else. I feel like $1,000 is not, for me anyways, it's not enough to be spreading it out across lots of different stocks. I would be more concentrated in those stocks. So yeah, those would be my options.
All right. Thank you. It's been amazing having you here. I've learned a lot from you as well, just as I usually do. Do you have any final quote or any final advice you want to share with the audience listening?
I just want to encourage everybody that you can do anything that you set your mind to, and I truly believe financial freedom is something that we should all have access to. And I believe that you can, but it's all about being intentional, about reading those books, watching those YouTube videos, listen to podcasts like this so you can get there as well. I also want to shameless plug myself. I have a podcast called Don't Go Broke Trying. And in July 19th, I'm going to have a live podcast recording / live event where I will have my dad talking to us all about financial literacy, and then I'll also have a couple talking to us about how they manage their finances as a couple. So I would love for you to be there. If you're in Toronto, we will be hosting it live in Toronto. But yeah,
I was just going to plug you as well and say, please follow Reni on XOReni on Instagram, on YouTube, and TikTok is XOXOReni. So why XOXO though? What's the XO?
Someone stole it. Like someone already
Oh,
took the XO. That's why I had to add the extra hugs and kisses. But yeah.
oh, so it's actually hugs and kisses. I see.
Yeah. So it's
Okay.
basically how I sign off my newsletters and stuff. XO, comma, Reni. Yeah.
Okay. So for those listening on podcast, Reni is spelled Reni. So again, it's XORENI on all platforms except for X and TikTok. TikTok is XOXO Reni. X is XO Reni I. Correct. All right.
Thank
Thank you so much, Reni. God bless you. Till next time, we look forward to getting more gems from you. Let's see what the audience says.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, you made it to the end. I'm proud of you. And if you haven't already, like this video, please do that. Like this video, share with a friend, and leave a comment if you haven't. I'd like to hear from you. What did you take out of this video? What's the one thing that stood out for you? And if you are just knowing about Reni for the first time, feel free to let me know. I'm just knowing about Reni for the first time. Or if there's something that you heard about her in past, perhaps it's the fact that she met Justin Trudeau and that intrigued you. Anything, just share your mind. I would just like to interact with you in the comment section. And if you're listening to this on Spotify, please subscribe and like this as well, whatever channel it is that you're listening to this podcast on. Till next time, I would like you to go watch one of my previous podcast episodes where I spoke with a real estate agent, and I will see you in my next podcast or YouTube video. Till next time, don't forget to stay awesome, stay inspired. Peace.